Hello and welcome back to the Right Up Your Alley channel. Today we're going to be talking about the drama, that literal drama. No, seriously, the fruit of the drama, the fruit of like the wins, the fruit of all the good things that have happened in 2023. And I like relish these lessons realistically. We're going to go through the 23 biggest lessons that I learned in 2023. And I'm really excited to share this with you. Preface, some of this is basic. Some of this is very personal and deep. You're gonna find the same thing in your life too. And just like let the lessons flow realistically. Like you can listen to all of mine. This will make you think of some things in your life, maybe some you won't relate with. But my challenge for you at the end of this is actually to think about the 23 things you learned this year and get them down in a place where you can reference them next year. One thing about lessons is that it's really great to learn it once. Once you've learned it like 3-5 times, it gets old, you guys. And so some of these I have learned multiple times. Some of them it's my first time, but I'm really determined this year to make sure that these lessons stay in 2023 and I'm able to like truly just like move in more clarity next year, and I want the same for you. So let's get into it. My laptop, I took notes for this. This one's really obvious. Everyone talks about it. It is very hard to do. One, embrace change because it is so inevitable. The number one thing I learned in 2016, because I do this every year, was that change is the only constant we ever really get to see Earthside. That was really uncomfortable to me in 2016. I remember just being so frustrated because I had worked so hard, and maybe you felt like that before too. Like you do all the things and you check all the boxes, but then like the mountaintop always escapes you to a degree. Like you always have to continue down on your journey. Like you're never just mountaintop to mountaintop to mountaintop, high point to high point, right? There are highs and lows, and no matter how good you are, like things will shift and change, and that may feel hard in some seasons, but it's so good. And so change is inevitable, but it's good. That's definitely my number one lesson this year. 2, prayer. I am big into prayer. However you pray, I just know that if you do it, you have sensed how much it's changed your life. And this year I realized that praying with gratitude and with like deep admiration for where I am right now was such a huge heart shift for me. And I think so often when we're praying or meditating on whatever is in front of us and wherever we are, we're thinking about where we want to go, or maybe we're thinking about what we've overcome. But it's so interesting, like my now didn't get as much attention until this year. And so being able to be present with gratitude in my prayer and like adore where I am today and know that it has purpose changed my life, and it will 100% change your life. So however you're doing it, like pray with the conviction of gratitude and adoration for where you are, and it will change your heart, and everything flows from your heart. That's what you want. Number 3 is your timeline is perfect. You are exactly where you're supposed to be at the exact time that you are here, and that's going to always be true. And I've learned that in different moments of my life, but I think I fully grasped it in my life this year. And so however old you are, wherever you are in your life, just know like that is true for you. Like you're exactly where you're supposed to be. It is absolutely impossible for you to be behind. It is impossible for you to be ahead. You're where you are actually created to be today, and you should act like it. 4, failure is totally and completely fine. I feel like people kind of like when you're younger are afraid of failure, not to generally like blanket statement that on all of us, but I feel like when you're 6 you don't want to fail, right? When you're like 18 you want to do well on your tests and get into a good college, or you know, whatever position you're applying for. That feels good. It feels good to win, right? And failure doesn't necessarily feel good always. I feel like when, you know, I was in my 20s, I was learning failure is okay. Like it's gonna happen, and that's gonna put you closer to your next win, blah blah blah. And I feel like I've gotten some like net neutral like emotions around failure now. Like failure happens, failure's fine. Just don't give it so much energy, right? Like if you win, yay. If you fail, yay, you're good. Keep going, and just know that it has nothing to do with who you are identity-wise, right? Does it mean that you could prepare better and do something better? Yeah, totally. That's just data and information. But your identity has nothing to do with failure. And when you're able to separate those things, man, so much freedom comes. Number 5 is build resilience. So this was actually something I heard in prayer the first day of 2023, and I did not know how hard it would hit home until I was like in 2023. You have to allow yourself to bounce back fast. The people who are able to just take an information process and bounce back, they always win. I swear, it is so interesting. However quick your rebound rate is, at whatever healthy rate works for you, is going to set you up for so much success, because being stuck in something for large amounts of time often is not productive, right? So I have worked really hard this year on like my rebound rate and my resilience and how I can roll with the punches, and I encourage you to really focus on that too. Number 6 is nurture relationships that matter. Focus on that. Relationships that matter. Like, what relationships matter to you? You should get clear on that. Those relationships should get attention. Make sure you're not just giving attention to the relationships or to the things that are loudest or right in front of you. Prioritize what actually matters to your heart and to your mind and to who you want to be. Make sure you're investing in that, because it's really easy to actually just react to your environment and what's closest to you and what's around you and forget about the things that might actually mean the most to you. Number 7, and I've actually already touched on this a little bit, but the present is everything. Right now is everything. You are no longer in the past. It's taught you a lot. It served the purpose it needed to serve, and now it's finished. The future is where you're going, and it can serve as so much inspiration and it can drive you. But if you are not embracing today, you will never get where you want to go. And do not just like hustle your way. I truly think I hustled my way through years of my life. And if I could do it all over, I would have slowed down and I just would have been where I was, and I actually think it would have been more productive, because I'm doing that now in my life and I'm seeing it. Live with an open hand and understand that where you are right now, again, is purposeful. So embrace it. Number 8, there's 2 parts to this, okay? You don't know everything, and you don't need to know everything. There are people who are so much smarter than you or well equipped, and your weaknesses can be covered by those people who come into team with you, who come into relationship or your life with you. Let them be good at what they're good at. You don't have to become a master at everything. You should really focus your energy on what you're really great at. And, don't let this be an excuse. Don't let your weaknesses just like slow you down necessarily, but become self-aware enough of your weaknesses to make sure that they're covered, but you don't have to master them. You, again, can build around them. That was really great advice I got in 2018, and I feel like this year was the year it really fully clicked for me. Number 9 is take care of your health. Everybody says this, but actually take care of your health. This year, I realized my mind and my goals were moving faster than my body could tolerate, and it really was hard for me to understand like how to slow down. It really just comes down to your habits and practices, and so like it's really productive to take care of yourself too, and I would almost say it's more productive to take care of yourself first. Put your oxygen mask on first, instead of again reacting and responding to the world and putting yourself and your health last. 10 is listen more. Just listen. It's really that simple. There is so much that the world and that people and circumstances are telling you. Do not be talking and running so fast that you miss out on what it's saying. 11 is learn continuously. It really goes with that listening aspect. Start to pick up clues as you listen and start to learn proactively. And again, some clues will be brought to you, some things you'll need to proactively go out and find, but just allow yourself to continue to learn, because life has so much to teach you. 12, forgive fast. I would say this is probably attached to one of my largest mistakes of 2023. There's a lot that eventually I'll share with you guys that happened this year, but there was a 5-month period where I withheld forgiveness, and more information has come out on it now, and I wasn't wrong and the other person wasn't right. It was a gray area, but forgiveness would have brought clarity to that gray faster. And I really believe there would have been so much more joy and freedom in this year if I had just like sought that out first. You have to guard your heart, and sometimes you have to process things, but forgiveness is a beautiful thing to prioritize first. even while you're doing those things. 13. So my mom is a teacher. She is an elementary school teacher. She's actually like the cutest human in the entire world. And she used to drop me off at school, be like, today, what are you gonna do? And I'd be like, I'm gonna make good choices. She just taught me that from the beginning. Before you take any action, is this a good choice? If you can say yes, and you make that choice, you can stand behind the decision that you made, and there's always a solution, whether it is right or wrong. I really believe that has allowed me to live in so much confidence and freedom. And so I feel like I revisited that lesson this year, and I want to share it with you. Like, make good choices. And as long as you can operate in clarity of that, you're gonna be great. 14, trust yourself. That has to go with the making good choices piece too. You do not have to be perfect to be able to trust yourself, obviously, but keep your word to yourself. If you make promises to yourself, like, stand by them and make sure that you are like rising to the occasion of being you, not just being what the world wants you to be. 15 is hold your boundaries without shame. That's it. You don't have to have shame around asking for what you need. 16 is enjoy the journey. This is definitely a theme this year, but just enjoy where you are. Like, it's really not that serious. I promise. I'm 29 years old, and I feel like it took me all of these years to realize, like, oh my gosh, it's really not that serious. I have so much time, and there's so much joy available, and I really don't want to miss out on that. So make sure that you're not missing out on the joy and everything that's available in your days too. Okay, 18 is interesting. I was trying to think of a way to say this that isn't this verbiage, but it just hits the nail on the head, so I'm just gonna dive into it. Comparison is super low vibe. Like, it's just, it like all your energy and everything and your excitement and your joy and all of it just like hits the floor off the scale when you lean into comparison. And I've just seen so many people that I work alongside, that I work with, that, you know, come to me for coaching or counsel, really struggle with that this year. And I can just see this like huge shift in their demeanor and their identity. You have to protect your identity from little hits like that. So don't allow yourself to compare, because again, it just like brings the vibe down and it's not true. You're exactly where you're supposed to be, like I told you. Okay, number 19 goes off of number 18. Jealousy is also very low vibe, you guys. I think jealousy is kind of like the little green monster that's like born out of comparison. Don't get me wrong, I think comparison can be productive if you're like understanding the people around you, gathering information, but still again remaining intact with your identity. I feel like jealousy is what like transforms when we let comparison inform our identity, right? Do not allow yourself to backslide into jealousy, because whatever you feel about it, I hear you, and it's just not true. She's where she's supposed to be and you're where you're supposed to be, and they are both very good, and no one is ahead or behind. So remember that. Number 20 is cold plunges are very worth it. They really are. I've been cold plunging since 2019, and it was like a thing, I feel, in 2018, 2019, 2020, but now it's like a thing. I feel like everyone talks about cold plunges to one degree or another, and oh my gosh, you guys, when I do it in the morning, I am so much nicer, and to myself specifically, and I just feel like happier. And so I think even just giving yourself space to do something like that, get connected with your endorphins, it really is so worth it. Let it be free. If there's like a clean pond or ocean, like I'm so lucky I can literally go to the ocean and it's really cold right now, so I can pop right in. It allows emotions to come up. It allows for connection with like positive endorphins. Like I said, like there's just so many great layers to it. So challenge yourself with it. If you are in a funk and do it for 5 days, you will see a difference. 21, oh my gosh, I would have hated this advice so many years ago, but probably even last year. Plan to go slower than expected. Just give yourself grace. If you want to get there by next year, be realistic. And I am all for like shooting for the moon and landing in the stars. Truly, that's how I operate. But also, like, you could go slower and you'll probably still get there right on time, because that's how life works. So just allow yourself to operate in grace and set expectations for yourself that push you, but do not steal your sense of agency or peace. Love who you've been made to be. My word for this year actually was fun. And it's really funny because on paper, this is probably my least fun year of my entire life, but I now understand that that's why God had put it on my heart, because I needed to understand that like fun is a choice, and enjoying where you are is a choice, and it's a lovely choice, and it's always available. I realized that, you know, my striving and the things that push me so hard were blocking me from truly like accepting and loving who God made me to be. And that might be true for you too. I think that happens a lot, especially with ambitious women. I just want you to know that like your identity is not contingent on your actions, it's just innate. You are so special, and you're not on any specific timeline that you need to keep up with in order to prove that worthiness or that identity. Learn to embrace who you are right now and like love that version of you. You will continue to grow and flourish, I promise. I see it over and over again. But also loving yourself and who God made you to be and having fun in that process is a choice, and like choose it. Do not rob yourself of anything beyond that. Like just choose it. Everything else can flow from it. And then 23 of the 23 things I've learned from 2023, this is probably the most important one. I hope that you will just put this in your back pocket for you to remember on the really beautiful days and on the challenging days. Humility does not hold you back. The world will tell you that it will hold you back. You do not have to gloat. You do not have to compete. You do not have to hustle to be in the rooms that you were created to be in. You will just show up there. And again, as long as you're really prioritizing the things that I've listed before this, you do not have to trade your authenticity or your identity or even like whisper anything in order to get what God has for you. I think humility is really rare in this world because gloating does so much better, right? It gets way more viral, it gets way more views, it gets way more attention, but it's a short-term success. Your humility will speak volumes of you, and it will take you places that you could never imagine. And do not hide behind humility. If God's calling you to something, do it. But know that He will speak on your behalf, and He is placing people in rooms that you could never imagine, and they will whisper your name at the perfect time when you're ready. So just like be who you are and be with Him, and everything else will figure itself out. With that, I loved this year. This was the year I started YouTubing. This is when I started to build this family, and I've just been blown away with you guys. So thank you for being here. And I really just pray that even just one of these lessons that I learned blesses you, and you're able to just like run with it and understand like how much innate value is in you, and how you don't have to trade anything about yourself for your authenticity or success or that ambition. You just are on a road. Be on that road. Be who you are. Trust God, and everything's gonna work out, I promise. So here's to ending this year strong. Here's to 2024 and all the years that will come after that. And here's to you. If you haven't already, definitely write down your 23 lessons from this year, and I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you around.